At one point, his face appeared everywhere across the United States. Children brought him to school on lunchboxes, played with toys bearing his name, wore clothes printed with his image, and eagerly waited every week for him to appear on television. In the early 1950s, William Boyd's likeness was licensed on more products than even the President of the United States or the most famous movie stars of the time. But what is hard to believe is that just a few years earlier, the very same man had been regarded in Hollywood as a fading actor. His career seemed to have ended after a controversy he had absolutely no involvement in. He lost his contract, lost his reputation, and nearly lost any chance of ever standing up again. What is even more remarkable is that William Boyd did not just come back. He achieved something no Hollywood star had ever even imagined. He turned a fictional character into the first true commercial empire in the history of American entertainment. So what happened? How did a man who once had nothing manage to build an icon known as Hopalong Cassidy, transforming both Hollywood and the American television industry? The story begins long before the spotlight ever found him. Before the entire United States knew the name Hopalong Cassidy, William Boyd was simply a boy growing up in circumstances that gave little indication of a glamorous future. He was born in 1895 in a small village in Ohio, into a working-class family. Life was already modest, but things became even harder as the family repeatedly moved in search of work. The biggest turning point came when Boyd was just 17. His father was killed in a violent industrial accident in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This sudden loss not only took away the family's main provider, but also forced William to abandon his education and start working to survive. While many of his peers were still in school, he was already taking on heavy labor that even grown men would hesitate to do. William Boyd worked in the oil fields of Oklahoma, where the workday stretched from morning to night, with a heavy sledgehammer in his hands. Every day meant nearly 10 hours of exhausting labor under harsh heat, dust, and the constant roar of machinery. It was not a job for the weak. One moment of inattention could lead to serious injury, even death. Years later, when he had already become a film star, Boyd often referred to that period as the greatest school of his life. He once said that his time in the oil fields taught him the value of persistence. Whenever he felt like giving up, he reminded himself that if he could endure those long days underground, then no challenge in Hollywood would ever be able to defeat him. What is interesting is that what seemed like a life of hardship actually prepared him for the future. Those years of physical labor gave him a strong, athletic build, broad shoulders, and the presence of a seasoned man. Later, it was precisely this appearance that made him stand out among hundreds of young actors seeking opportunities in Hollywood. But when he decided to leave Oklahoma for California in pursuit of a film career, William Boyd had no money, no connections, and no guarantee of success. The only thing he carried with him was the belief that his life had to mean more than repetitive days in the oil fields. When he arrived in California, William Boyd had no clear plan other than searching for opportunity. Like thousands of young hopefuls who came to Hollywood in the early 20th century, he started from the very bottom. At first, he appeared only in background roles, standing in crowds or passing briefly across the screen in ways audiences could barely notice. But Hollywood in those days was a place where unexpected opportunities could appear at any casting call. Boyd had an unusual advantage: a striking height, sharp facial features, and prematurely silver hair, an uncommon trait for someone so young. This distinctive appearance caught the attention of legendary director Cecil B. DeMille, one of the most powerful filmmakers in the United States at the time. DeMille saw something in William Boyd that others had overlooked. He not only had the look of a star, but also the calm presence of a man with life experience. Boyd was quickly given more substantial roles, and within a few years, his name began appearing prominently on movie posters. During the silent film era's golden age, Boyd became one of the most sought-after leading men. He made a strong impression in films such as The Vulgar Boatman and The King of Kings, proving that he possessed not only striking looks, but also expressive acting ability, essential in a time when emotion had to be conveyed entirely through gesture and expression. Success came quickly. From a former oilfield worker counting every cent of his wages, William Boyd was now earning around $100,000 per year, a massive income in the 1920s. He bought a mansion, drove luxury cars, and became a familiar face at Hollywood gatherings. To the public, Boyd represented the image of a refined, successful, and promising man. At that time, everything seemed to be moving in the right direction. His career was rising, his finances were stable, and his future looked wide open. Many believed William Boyd would become one of Hollywood's biggest stars for decades to come. If William Boyd's life once resembled a Hollywood fairy tale, then the scandal of the early 1930s became the darkest chapter of that story. What is painful is that he had done nothing wrong. It all began with a simple case of mistaken identity. At the time, there was another actor named William Boyd in Hollywood, often referred to as Stage Boyd, to distinguish him from the rising film star. One day, Stage Boyd was arrested after a party involving gambling, illegal alcohol, and other unlawful activities. The case quickly became headline news as the United States was still under prohibition, and scandals involving entertainers attracted intense public attention. A critical mistake occurred when a major newspaper published the photograph of the film actor William Boyd alongside the article about the arrest. Within a single night, millions of readers believed that the man involved in the scandal was the beloved movie star they had seen on screen. In an era without the internet or social media to correct misinformation, a single wrong image could destroy an entire career. Although William Boyd was completely innocent, the correction came too late and was too small compared to the speed at which the scandal spread. In the public eye, his name had become associated with disgrace. What hurt Boyd even more was Hollywood's reaction. His studio, RKO, barely took time to verify the truth. Worried about its reputation and box office impact, it quickly terminated his contract. In a short period, the man who had once been one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors suddenly found himself unwanted. Film offers almost completely disappeared. William Boyd was forced to accept roles in low-budget B-movies just to pay rent and survive. From someone who had lived in mansions and walked red carpets, he was now facing the reality that his career might have ended because of someone else's mistake. Many actors in similar situations chose to leave Hollywood altogether. Some changed careers, others lived quietly until the end of their lives. Many in the industry assumed William Boyd would be the next name to vanish from the screen. But just when he had nothing left to lose, a script about a Western cowboy began to appear on his desk. At first, it was simply a low-budget film that no one expected much from. No one could have predicted that this role would not only save William Boyd's career, but also turn him into one of the greatest icons in the history of American television and popular culture. That character was called Hopalong Cassidy. By the mid-1930s, William Boyd had very few options left. His reputation was gone, major roles were no longer coming his way, and he accepted a low-budget Western film called Hopalong Cassidy. At the time, no one believed this would become a turning point. Not even Boyd himself. What is interesting is that William Boyd had never been a real cowboy. He did not grow up riding horses and had to learn many skills before stepping into the role. But instead of simply following the script, Boyd decided to completely reshape the character of Hopalong Cassidy. In the original version, Hopalong Cassidy was a rough man who often drank alcohol, smoked, and used violence. Boyd believed this was not the kind of hero children should look up to. Therefore, he proposed transforming Cassidy into a principled, polite, clean-living hero who never drank, never smoked, never swore, and always stood on the side of justice. He also created a completely different image. Instead of wearing white like most Western heroes of the time, Hopalong Cassidy appeared in a distinctive all-black outfit, riding a white horse named Topper. That visual contrast made the character stand out immediately and quickly became unforgettable to audiences. Viewers embraced the new character beyond expectations. The first film succeeded, then a second, a third, and more followed. Over the course of 13 years, William Boyd portrayed Hopalong Cassidy in a total of 66 films, becoming one of the most famous cowboy characters in the United States. But what Hollywood did not anticipate was that on-screen success was only the beginning. A few years later, William Boyd would make a decision widely considered insane, a gamble that could either destroy everything he had left or transform the entire entertainment industry. By the late 1940s, the B-grade Western genre was losing its appeal. Many studios believed the era of cowboy heroes was ending, and that audiences would soon move on to new genres. While everyone else was stepping away, William Boyd saw an opportunity no one else recognized. In 1948, he made a decision that stunned Hollywood. Boyd mortgaged nearly all of his assets to purchase the full rights to the Hopalong Cassidy character and his film library for around $350,000. Many believed he was betting on a fading brand that was destined to fail. But William Boyd was no longer thinking about movie theaters. He was betting on a completely new medium at the time, television. In 1949, Hopalong Cassidy films were broadcast on NBC, becoming one of the first Western series ever shown on American television. The response exceeded all expectations. Millions of families gathered around their television sets each week to watch the black-clad hero riding his white horse. In a short time, William Boyd was no longer just an actor trying to salvage his career. He had become the owner of a massive brand, opening a door far larger than film box office revenue. For the first time in Hollywood history, a fictional character was about to become a full-scale commercial empire. The television success quickly sparked an unprecedented boom. Children across the United States not only wanted to watch Hopalong Cassidy, they wanted to bring the hero into their daily lives. William Boyd realized that the character's value extended far beyond the screen, rooted in the trust audiences, especially children, placed in him. Instead of licensing the character loosely, Boyd took direct control of Hopalong Cassidy merchandising rights. Within just a few years, more than 100 companies were licensed to produce over 2,400 different products featuring the character, including toys, clothing, watches, bicycles, and comic books. One of the most famous products was the Hopalong Cassidy lunchbox, made by Aladdin. It is widely considered the first lunchbox in the United States to feature a licensed fictional character, launching a trend later adopted by major franchises such as Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars. Revenue from merchandising grew so rapidly that it shocked Hollywood. In 1950 alone, William Boyd reportedly earned around $800,000 from licensing income, an enormous sum at the time. The total Hopalong Cassidy empire was estimated to generate around $70 million annually, making Boyd one of the most successful entertainers in the country. But what is most admirable is that Boyd did not treat this as just a money-making machine. He understood that most of his fans were children, and that led him to establish principles that very few stars of his era ever considered. Unlike many celebrities focused purely on profit, William Boyd believed that fame came with responsibility. He understood that millions of children viewed Hopalong Cassidy as a role model, so every decision had to be worthy of that trust. Boyd imposed strict rules on the character. Hopalong Cassidy would not drink, would not smoke, would not swear, and would never win through cruelty. At the end of many episodes, he personally addressed young viewers, encouraging them to study hard, obey their parents, live honestly, and respect the law. Even in business, he upheld the same principles. Boyd refused to license the Hopalong Cassidy image for products he considered inappropriate for children, even when they could have generated significant profits. For him, fame only mattered if it was used correctly. Perhaps his most surprising decision was turning down an offer from director Cecil B. DeMille to play Moses in the epic film The Ten Commandments, 1956. It was one of the most prestigious roles in Hollywood at the time. But Boyd feared that appearing as a drastically different figure, especially a major religious character, might confuse children and weaken their perception of Hoppy as their trusted hero. Many considered this overly conservative, but for William Boyd, preserving children's trust mattered more than any prestigious role. That decision helped cement Hopalong Cassidy not just as a film character, but as a symbol of kindness and reliability for generations of American audiences. After years at the height of fame, William Boyd voluntarily stepped away from the spotlight. There was no dramatic farewell, no attempt to cling to public attention. He chose instead to live quietly with his wife Grace Bradley Boyd in California, enjoying the life he had worked so hard to build. Although he continued to receive offers to return to acting or attend major events, Boyd largely declined. He believed every character had a perfect moment in time to be remembered, and he did not want to disrupt the image of Hopalong Cassidy that had become deeply embedded in the public imagination. In 1968, after undergoing cancer treatment and experiencing declining health, Boyd became even more private. He avoided public appearances, not wanting fans to see Hopalong Cassidy as old and frail. For him, the greatest gift he could give audiences was to let them remember the strong, confident rider on a white horse, not a man weakened by time. William Boyd passed away in 1972 at the age of 77 after battling Parkinson's disease and heart complications. His death marked the end of one of the most iconic figures in American film and television history, yet the name Hopalong Cassidy continued to live on in the memories of generations. What is remarkable is that even long after he left the screen, many people did not refer to him as William Boyd. To them, he would always be Hopalong Cassidy, the hero who accompanied their childhood. When looking back today, William Boyd is often remembered as the star who turned Hopalong Cassidy into a cultural phenomenon. But his greatest legacy goes far beyond films or commercial success. He was one of the first to prove that a fictional character could exist beyond the screen. Long before Hollywood turned superheroes into billion-dollar franchises, Boyd understood the power of building a character that audiences genuinely believed in. He did not just sell a character, he sold the values attached to it. More importantly, he understood that children's trust is not something to be traded for profit. That is why he was willing to turn down lucrative deals, reject major roles, and sacrifice parts of his career to protect the integrity of Hopalong Cassidy in the eyes of young audiences. Perhaps that is why, more than half a century after his death, William Boyd's story still surprises people. He once lost everything due to a misunderstanding, was dismissed by Hollywood as finished, yet ultimately became a pioneer who changed how the entertainment industry operates. Sometimes, what makes a legend is not the number of films they made or the money they earned, but the fact that people still remember them as someone they could trust. If you enjoy lesser-known stories about Hollywood legends and want to explore more hidden truths behind the spotlight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.